Good morning, students. Today we are going to do History Chapter 9, The Making of Regional Cultures. Children, understand this chapter itself. What is the meaning of regional culture? It is a regional culture is a meaning that when the people get together and speak the same language, same food they eat, clothes they do, and same thing they do, that a culture according to the regional wise. Okay, we learn about this regional culture today. One of the commonest ways of describing people in the term of language they speak. The language they speak, about that we are going to speak today. When we refer to the person as a Tamil or Oriya or Punjabi or any other language people like Kerala, so we speak about them. The people speak their own language. Tamil, they speak Tamilian. Uriya, they speak Uriya. And in Kerala, the people speak in Malayalam, and Tamil Nadu, in Punjab, they speak Punjabi, and so on. We speak about them, and then we also tend to associate with each region with the distinguished kinds of food, clothing, the wearing of clothes, eating food, and each region poetry, dances, music, and painting, so on. So this is called regional culture. Okay. What is the regional culture? Which is a distinguished kinds of food, cloth, poetry, dance, music, and painting, so on. So that is called regional culture. Sometimes we take these identities as granted and assume that we have extended to that imaginary. However, the country spreading the religion have involved over the time. Okay, and same time we see these things, and also we understand the regional culture today are often the product of complex process, intermixing of local tradition. Okay, it also goes to the local tradition also. As we see, some tradition appears specific to the regions and others seem to be similar across region, and yet others derive from older practice in the particular area but take the new form of region. Now dear students, we can see wherever the language, whatever the food, whatever the things they are taking, that is called regional culture. Okay, in our place, most of the people, this is called the local tradition. Local tradition in Jhabua itself. What is the local tradition of people over Jhabua? You know very well. So we can see the local people's dance. Now you know the festival of local people here, Bhil Adivasi. You know the tradition and everything, and the festival of here is Bhagoria, you know very well, and this culture is going on. This culture is going on. So this is called regional culture. Okay. Now we will see the little bit, will not go by line, but we will see little by little, and I will explain because it is too lengthy and it is not so important. The Chera kingdom of Matapanam was established in the 19th century. In 19th century, what happened? The Matapanam was established in the western part of the peninsula, part of present day. It is called Kerala. It is called Kerala, and here people speak the Malayalam. Okay, part of the Malayalam was spoken in this area. In this area, still today, people speak Malayalam. The rulers introduced the Malayalam language and script in the inscription. And all those who were the rulers who were ruling this region, they script was the inscription was also in Kerala, Malayalam. In fact, this is the one of the is earliest example, use an example in language of official records are subcoordinated. Okay. Now we'll see at the same time Chera also drawn upon the Sanskrit tradition. It is also is a Sanskrit. It is a Malayalam is also joined to the Sanskrit words and it came to the Malayalam. Okay. The temple texture of Kerala, which is a trace on the periods borrowed towards the Sanskrit spaces. The first literacy of Malayalam date to the 12th century are directly intimated into Sanskrit. It is taken from the Sanskrit words and it is become a form of Malayalam. This is a local language and interestingly enough to dealing with the grammar and poets was composed in Matapanam literacy, demand and choral referring to the words, language, Sanskrit and regional language. These two things, diamond and chorals, these referring to two languages and Sanskrit and the regional language was formed. Now we will see the ruler and religion tradition in the Jagannath cult. Okay. In Jagannath, this temple is in other region. The culture grew around a religious tradition. This bhakti movement tradition came, and the example of the process of the cult Jagannath, literally Lord of the world, Vishnu. Okay, Jagannath. There was in Puri in Odisha. Okay, this temple Jagannath temple is situated in Odisha and it is in Puri. To date, the local tribal people make the wooden image of the deity. Okay. In Orissa, the people make the god's deity picture of that in a wooden image. Okay. And then the local god who was later identified as a Vishnu. And these people identified the god as a Vishnu. In the 12th century, one of the most important rulers of Ganga dynasty, Matapanam, decided to erect a temple for Parshuram Tam Jagannath at Puri, and then it is become his kingdom to the deity and proclaimed himself as the deputy of the god. Now we will see the temple. As the temple gained the importance as a center of pilgrimage, okay, as the temple gained the importance of the pilgrimage, till today people go to see this Puri and Jagannath temple, Vishnu temple and they offer their sacrifice so on. It is an authority in social and political matter also increases. It is both the authorities increased in social also and in political matters also. All those who conquered Orissa, such as the Mughal, the Maharashtra and English East Company, attempt to gain control over the temple. Okay, this Mughal Empire and Marathas and the English East India Company also attempt to gain the control over this temple. They felt that this would make the rule acceptable to the local people. They felt the Mughal, the Marathas and East India Company felt that if they control this temple, the local people will accept them as the god. Now we will see the Rajput and tradition of heroism. My dear students, this Rajput means the people we think Rajput comes only from Rajasthan. No, it is every way the Rajput people are they remaining. In the 19th century, the region that constituted most of the present day Rajasthan was called the Rajputana by the British. British people used to call this Rajasthan as a Rajputana, while this may suggested that this was an area that was inhabited only or mainly by the Rajput. Okay, they inhabited that they suggested, the British people suggested that the Rajasthan, in Rajasthan only and mainly the Rajput people are staying. This is the only partly true. This is a really not true. This is a partly true. There were several groups who identify themselves Rajput in many areas of northern central India, and of course there are several people, other Rajput, who live in Rajasthan. However, the Rajputs are often recognized as a contributing, as a distributing the culture of Rajasthan. It says that Rajput people, the culture was so open, and they used to think that whatever the people used to the Rajput people was so brave people, and they used to mostly they were linked to the kings, okay, and they this culture tradition were closely linked with the ideals of the and rulers from about the 8th century. Most of the present day state Rajputana was ruled by the various Rajput families, and Prithviraj Chauhan was the first one who ruled the Rajasthan. And as we have seen that Rajasthan in chapter 2 about the Prithviraj Chauhan was one such ruler. These rulers cherished the ideal of the hero who fought valiantly, often choosing the death on the battle rather than the face. Defeated stories about the Rajput heroes were controlled in the poem and songs, okay, which were recited by the specially trained minister. This was a specially recited by the special people, ministers. This preserved the memories of the heroes and was expected to inspire others follow. The ordinary people were also attracted by these stories, which were often depicted dramatic situations and range of a strong emotion, loyalty, friendship, love and welder and anger. These all things were democratic situation. It was in a Rajput people. Okay. Now we can see what the role of the women in Rajputana. Okay, in Rajasthan, what is the role of the women? Did the women find a place within these stories? Here is the ask. Within these stories, women's stories are there? Sometimes they figures as a cause of a conflict. Men fought with the one another either to win the prophet or the women. Okay, here we can see the women of Rajput peoples, they fought for the women or otherwise they fought for the conflict as a man or to get the win, to protect the women and win the country, the state. So women are also disputed as a following the heroic husband in the both life and death. This women's role was so important over there, dear students. And when the husband died, the women do the sati themselves. They jumped into when the man is a criminal or died that time. Okay. There are stories about the practice of the sati or immolation of the widows on the funeral pyre and their husband. So who follows the heroic idol often had to pay it with their lives. Whoever follow the heroic idol, okay, whoever follow that woman itself pay for with her life. Now you will see the beyond religion hotness of the story Kathak. Now we will see we have seen the food, we have seen the cloth, and we have seen so many other culture which comes into the culture. So now another thing is that beyond that is a Kathak. Kathak also is the one important part of the culture. If the heroic traditions can be found in different regions is a different forms, the same of the true dance, let us at the history of one dance from the Kathak, now associated with the several parts of the North India. North India, so many parts of the India that is called Kathak. Now the term Kathak is derived from Katha and a word used Sanskrit and other language for the story. Katha. Katha means a story. Okay, in Hindi we say the Katha means the story, and that Kathak it is a dance. Okay, the Kathak were the originally cast of a storytellers in the temple North India. In North India, the Kathak was told about the story of the temple, who has embellished their performance with the gauges and songs. Kathak began enveloping the distinctive mode of dance in the 15th and the 16th century with the spread with the Bhakti movement. It started in the Bhakti movement. Okay, the linguist Radha Krishna were the intact with the folk plays called Raslila. Okay, when the Radha and Krishna, this is called Bhakti movement, when Radha and Krishna conducted to the folk dance play, that was called Raslila, which is a combined folk dance with the basic juncture and the Kathak storytellers. Okay, it is a Kathak story also, that is a Raslila. Now under the Mughal empires, students, now under the Mughal empires and the nobles, Kathak was performed in the courtyard. Kathak was performed in the courtyard, what was in front of the king. Okay, where the acquire of the present feature of the developed into form of dance and distinguished style. So now we will see the Nabab of Awadh. It grew into a measure of art by the third quarter of the 19th century. It was firmly interested as a dance from not only in these two regions but the adjacent and present day at Punjab and Haryana. It was also in Punjab and Haryana also the Kathak was going on. Jammu Kashmir, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh emphasis also laid the interest. Okay, they also took the interest. Repeated footprints and as well as on of the story of the people of the God. Kathak, like several other culture practice, was viewed disfavor by the most British administrators. Most British administrators did not like this, the practice of the Kathak in the culture. Okay. Then however, survive of the continued to be formed by the courtiers and was recognized as the sixth classical form of the dance in the country after the independence. Okay, this is a found, this is a recognized, Kathak was recognized as a country, a form of a dance, recognized as sixth classical dance. Okay, classical dance, and nowadays classical dance is a real so much loved by the people. Now you can see the painting for the poetry of the tradition and tradition of miniature. In other tradition that develop different ways that manufacture the painting. Okay, the painting, and nowadays we can see the painting is so important. In olden days there was a people who were painting with the water. Okay, a small size painting generally done in watercolor on the cloth or a paper. The earliest ministers were on the palm leaves or a wood. In ancient time, they used to paint on the palm leaves or on a wood. Some of the most beautiful things these found in the western India were used literate Jainia texts. The Mughal Emperor Akbar, Jagannath Giri and Shah Jahan produced highly skilled painters who prominently liquidated. These people, Akbar and Jahangir and Shah Jahan, they promoted the painting so much, and the people who were doing the painting, they appreciated them. Who? The Akbar and Jahangir and Shah Jahan. Okay, these were generally painted in brilliant color and portrayed court, scenes, etc., battle or hunting, and this shapes social life. Okay, now you can see in the villages also, if you go in the small horses on the stones in the villages, you can find in Jhabua. I am speaking in Jhabua. You can see in small villages still today this is a continuing, that the painting of the things. Now, with the decline of Mughal Empire, many painters moved out of the court of imperial religious state. As a result, Mughal artists tasted the influence of the regional court of the Deccan and the Rajput court of the Rajasthan. Okay, the Mughal artists tasted the influence of the regional court of the Deccan and the Rajput court of the Rajasthan. At the same time, they retain and the develop of the distinct characterizing and ruler court and painting follow the Mughal example. In the Mughal example, this was continue followed. Beside these themes, Mughalogy and poetry were described at the center as the Mewar, Jodhpur, Bundi, Kolkata, Kota and Kishangarh. Okay, these places are situated in Rajasthan. Okay, it is situated in Rajasthan, Mewar, Jodhpur, Bundi, Kota and this Kishangarh. These places are situated in which place? In Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, what kind of people are staying? We think the Rajasthan Rajput people are staying, but there are all kinds of people are staying in Rajasthan. So another thing, region attacked by the 19th mixture painting was the Himalaya foothills around the modern day state of Himachal. Now you can see this painting everywhere with children. You see, when you read the chapter, you will see properly understand, because while you see the pictures, you will understand better way. Because in the painting, you will see whatever things had happened, why this painting is so important. By the late 7th century, the region had developed and bold increased style image. Painting called Bosahil, the most popular taste to the painted here was a Bundar and Ras Mughtajari. Nadir Shah, involved and conquered of Delhi in 1739, resulted in the migration of Mughal arrest to the hills of scape of inscriptions of the plains. Now you see children, Krishna and Radha, her compassion of Radha mixture. Now you can see this picture, okay, how Radha and Krishna's picture, that is called Ras Lila and the making of the region culture. This is the making of the region culture. They found ready poetism, which is the late or founding of Karnaga school of painting by the mid 18th century. The Karnaga arrested artist developed style which breathed a new spirit of manure painting. The source of inspiration was Vishnukati tradition. Soft color including cool blue and green and distinguished Karnataka painting. Okay, remember that ordinary woman and the when painted as well as on the pots, walls, flowers and cloth. Ordinary women and men used to paint on the pots, on the walls, floor, clothes. These are the work of art that have essentially surrounded, unlike ministry, were the carefully purchased by the palaces of center. Now here also you can see okay, the ordinary men and women paint on the pots, walls and the floors, clothes. Now most of the things are, now you can see on the pots. You see yourself in Meghnagar itself, you can see how people, the Kumar are making the work, the painting on the small pot, so attractive it looks. As you enter, when you come to Jhabua while anyway, then on the way you meet the Meghnagar. On that you can see so many, so beautiful pots are there, and that is colored by the people. A close look of Bengal. Now we will see about the Bengal. Bengal is a people who speak the Bengali. Okay, this Bengali, they speak their regional language is Bengali, but that is associated with the spoke with the English, Sanskrit as well as Bengali. However, whatever interest it comes, that is interesting that while Bengali is known now recognized as a language, but there was a two language. Okay, there was a two language, that was a Persian and Bengali, and the Sanskrit, it is come from the Sanskrit. Okay, now you will see the culture of Bengali. The most of the Bengali people eat and they speak, the food they eat, the poor to poor people also will eat the fish and rice. Their culture is that of the Bengali. And the Bengali people, Brahman only, during the 4th century, the Gupta's rulers established political control over the North Bengal and began to settle Brahmins. Okay, they start the Brahman, and Brahman were never taking the food of fish and rice, but whoever was there from the beginning, starting remaining in the Bengal, those Brahmins were eating, they were eating the fish and the rice. But after the political, during the century Gupta's period, the Brahman came, they were not taking these things. So from the fact 8th century, Bengal became the center of the regional kingdom under the palace, and between the 14th and 16th century, Bengal was ruled by the sultans. That already I had said in that 2nd chapter, I have spoke about in the 2nd chapter, that was the, what was the kingdom of the Bengalis and the who came in the century, that was the Sultanate age. Okay, that was in the 16th century. So it was and then again we saw the Sultan age was came in the third chapter also we saw that the Sultanate age came in the independent of the rulers in Delhi in chapter 3. Second chapter 2 and 3 we saw in the 86 chapter 18 when the Akbar conquered Bengal. When the Akbar conquered the Bengal, that time it was nucleus Sabha, while the Persian was language of the administration. Bengali developed as the regional language. Okay, and then the Persian language was used for the administration and the political way, and but the Bengali was a local language they used in the regional language. In fact, by the 15th century, the Bengali group deleted come to the United Common literally language when the based on the spoken language of the western part of the region, now known as the West Bengal. It is known as the West Bengal. Thus, all the Bengali endeavors, the Sanskrit, it is come from Bengali came from the Sanskrit. It passed through the several stages. Okay, from the several stages it passed Bengali, and evaluation was done. Also, a wide range of non-Sanskrit words were derived from the variety of the source, including tribal language, Persian and European languages have become part of the modern Bengali. In modern Bengali, what happened? Persian and European languages also were included in this modern Bengali. Okay, early Bengali literature may be divided into two categories. One debated Sanskrit and another independently of it. The first includes the Sanskrit spaces and the Meghalaya, and now we will see the second includes North literature such as the Song of Mayatan and the Gopi Chandra, stories of the concerning the worship of Dharma Thakur, and fairy falls, folk tales and ballads. Now, the texts belonging to the first categories are earlier date, as several manuscripts have been found indicating that they were composed between the late 15th and mid 18th century. Okay, when it was composed, it was indicated that in the 15th and the mid 18th century. Those belonging to the second category, secularized original of the cannot be precisely dated. They were particularly popular in eastern Bengal, where the influence of Brahmins were relative to weak. Now, Paris and the temples. From the 16th century, the people began to imitate magnate from large number from the less fertile West Bengal to the forested and mostly the arrest of the south eastern Bengal. As they moved easternwards, the clearing forest brought the land under the cultivation. Gradually, local communities, fish folks and shifting cultivation, often tribes merge with the new communities and peasants. My dear students, this is what in 17th century people emerged to the another place, that is the southeastern place, and they cultivated and they claimed the forest, and those people brought the land under the cultivation. They brought the land under the cultivation. Local communities of a fisher flocks and shifting cultivation, these two tribals were merged with the new communities of peasants. Okay. Now, the early settlers sought some orders, assumed the unsettable conditions of the new settlements. These were provided by the commonly leaders, okay. These were led by the commonly leader who were fascinated as the teachers and adjust were the sometimes scribed within a supernatural power. People referred to them with the action and respect as a pares. Okay, they respect. They thought that is their leaders and their gurus. These terms included saints and Sufis. Okay, Saint and Sufi Bhakti movement came that time, and other region personalites during daring colonials and defeated soldiers, various Hindu and Buddhist deities, even administered spirits. The cult and the Paris became very popular, and their shrines can be founded everywhere in Bengal. These two, the spiritual, the cult of Paris, okay, very popular that time, and their shrines are found everywhere in Bengal. Now, Bengal also witnessed as a temple building space from the late 15th century. This Bengal also witnessed the temple, making the temple over there, and which communicated in the 19th century. We have seen in chapter 2 and 5, okay, that the building of the temple and religious structure were often built by the individual or group who are become the powerful, okay. Whichever group powerful, they used to make the gods and they used to make the temple. The board dominated in the power proclaimed that the pity. Many of the modest brick and the terracotta temples Bengal were built with the support of several law, okay. With the several law it was built. Social groups such as the Kola, oil producers and the Carnatic bell metal workers. The coming of the European trading companies created the new economic opportunities. Many families belong to these social groups avail of these as the social and economic politics improved. Now, fish and food. My dear students, as I said, fish and tradition of the food, that already I have explained to you. Okay. Now you will see, now we have finished our chapter and you have seen everything emerged the next Europe. Till that time, Brahmas were not allowed to eat non-vegetarian food. Okay. Brahmans. As I said, that those people were used to eat the fish and so on, but the Brahmins people were not allowed to eat non-vegetarian food, but the popularity of fish in the local diet made by the Brahminical authorities relaxed. Okay, this prohibition of the Bengal Brahmins. Okay, now the Bengali permit the local Brahmins to eat the certain varieties of fish. Now, we have seen what is the culture, we have full chapter about the culture, and that is belong to every culture, every state, every region, whatever the region is there, that region used to eat the food, the region speak the culture about the food, clothing and dance and so on, that is called regional culture. So, my dear students, today we have finished the chapter 9th of history, though it is not so much interesting, but you can find that is interesting because we want to know the culture of our nation, of our India. So, you must learn the chapter properly and read it properly. I don't know whether it may filling the blanks, match the following true false, it may comes. So read it the full chapter properly. Okay, thank you and have a nice day, my dear students.